Area fire officials are advising people not to burn during our dry and windier conditions. And if they do, make sure they take the proper steps to maintain control of the effort. KNEB.TV News starts right now.
From your trusted source for news in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, this is KNEB.TV News. Presented by Platte Valley Companies, premier provider of financial services.
Hello, I'm Ryan Murphy. This is KNEB.TV News, powered by Platte Valley Companies. Thanks for joining me. In our top story, firefighters in our region have been called out almost daily to control burns that get out of control, including a burn Wednesday afternoon along the Tri-State Canal north of Scottsbluff that got into piles of tires and other debris. Scottsbluff Rural Fire Assistant Chief Carissa Shank says if you have a burn permit and do decide to burn, make sure the conditions and your preparations are correct.
Definitely watch it. Stay beside it at all times. Carry water tankers with you. We recommend at least 100 gallons of water, and make sure that the fire is out by sundown.
Shank also recommends burning earlier in the day as windy conditions seem to be intensifying around noon each day, if not earlier. She says with near critical fire conditions throughout the region, those wanting to conduct burn operations need to take extra precautions. Well, State Fire Marshal Christopher Cantrell reminds Nebraskans that there is a statewide open burning ban in effect at all time, which includes a ban on bonfires, fires for the purpose of clearing land, and outdoor burning of trash.
Outdoor rubbish fires are any uncontained fires for burning rubbish or trash. So if you have a burn barrel, you're getting really close to being a closed burn, but it's still open unless you have a lid for that. That lid has some sort of weight, or you put a rock on it to keep the ash in there. And then the sides of that burn barrel can have up to 3/4 of an inch holes. Otherwise, we're going to consider that open burning. And the open burning is banned, and you need to work with your fire chief to get that done.
Cantrell says a fourth category of open burning that's not specifically mentioned in statute, but is still banned, is range management burning, which involves the need for a permit and site plans. He says this is necessary because an ember can carry up to 1/4 mile, and Nebraskans need to be vigilant due to the extreme dry conditions. Cantrell says to work with your local fire chief to determine whether any open burning you want to do is permitted. We'll have more news right after this.
At Platte Valley Bank, we want to help you take advantage of every adventure. We know you have plans, goals, and dreams. Let us help you with them. Whether it is building, buying, or renovating, we have the home loan or home equity line of credit to fit your needs. Stop in and see us at Platte Valley Bank and let us help make your dreams a reality. You belong here. Platte Valley Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Life Care promises us that we are looked after and taken care of properly.
If I didn't have Life Care, I would be probably scared to death about having enough money for when I got older or when I got sick.
Moving in here was an easy decision and, in fact, a no-brainer. I looked at it as actually buying long-term care insurance, and in retrospect, a good move.
One of the things that convinces me that we did the right thing is no matter what happens, we will constantly be taken care of.
The whole thing is just vital because you don't have to be worried about what's ahead for you. It's there, it's in black and white, and that's reassuring.
This is home. It has been from the day I moved in.
Welcome back. A traffic stop prompted by expired tags results in a variety of charges for a Terrytown woman. 25-year-old Tiffany Anaya was a passenger in the vehicle during a traffic stop last Thursday, and officers ultimately found more than 40 fentanyl pills and other drug paraphernalia on her. She was taken to Regional West for evaluation and tried to run past the nurse's station and escape. Anaya is now facing charges including attempted escape, distribution of an exceptionally hazardous drug, and possession of a controlled substance. Well, the Scottsdale Police Department participated in a high visibility enforcement last week thanks to a grant from the Nebraska Department of Transportation Highway Safety Office. During that time, 11 officers worked 102 hours of overtime and were looking specifically for drivers impaired by drugs. Sergeant Philip Eckerberg says during the one-week enforcement, officers responded to 21 crashes, had 28 drivers without a valid registration, and made 7 felony arrests. Sergeant Eckerberg says he is proud of the efforts that the officers made during this enforcement, keeping the streets of Scottsville safe for the citizens they serve. And an annual spring tradition is coming early next month as the mayors of Gering, Scottsbluff, and Terrytown are sponsoring the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast in conjunction with the National Day of Prayer. This year's guest speaker for the May 5th breakfast, which starts at 6:45 at the Gering Civic Center, is Pastor Bruce Peterson of Grace Chapel in Scottsbluff, and the event will include entertainment by Summit Christian College. Scottsbluff High School Air Force Junior ROTC will post the colors and lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Tickets are $10 each and may be purchased at the Gering Civic Center and at the cities of Gering, Scottsbluff, and Terrytown through May 3rd. Tickets will not be sold at the door. Well, coming up to the break, Bill Boyer in with your weekend weather forecast. I'll have that right after the break here on KNEB.TV News.
What a year 2020 was. Now's the time to get out and travel this summer to see family and friends you were not able to see this last year. Spend more time enjoying your trip by flying United Airlines, operated by SkyWest with daily flights to and from Denver. Reserve your flight today and remember United miles can be earned and redeemed with your flights. While at the airport, stop and enjoy authentic Italian food at Roma Italian Restaurant. And don't forget, Thrifty Car Rental is here for your car rental needs. Make life easier, relax, and hitch a ride with your BFF, Western Nebraska Regional Airport.
Welcome to Kelly's, home of the Valley's best selection of wine, spirits, and beer. Whether you're brand loyal to the tried and true brew or really enjoy trying something different and new, Kelly's has something for everyone. Family owned and operated and right on your way on West 27th Street in Scottsbluff. Kelly's Liquor. If you can't find it at Kelly's, it's not worth drinking.
The Verizon family is full of frowns because they're spending too much for their unlimited data and phones, while the Viero family is all smiles because they're getting 4 lines of unlimited data with 2 free Apple iPhone SE for mom and dad and 2 free LG K31 smartphones for the kids, all for just $100 a month. They're saving so much, they're able to get Fido. Find out how you can too at Viero.com or your nearest Viero store. Viero Wireless, keeping you connected.
This is KNEB.TV weather from the KNEB Storm Center, your trusted source for weather.
It's going to be pretty quiet across the area except for some winds tonight. We're going to see cloudy skies as well and not much break in those clouds, and winds 20 to 30, gusts 40 to 50 miles an hour at times. We do have a high wind warning out through Saturday afternoon. Widespread rain is coming, though, again Sunday into Monday. Some wet snow could be possible, and then another system for next week. Caution you, though, on the high wind warnings. Not all high wind warnings are created equal. Certainly, we're not looking at what we had last week. 75 yesterday for a high after a morning low of 36. We did end up with 0.05 of an inch of moisture in the rain gauge. That pales in comparison to what we need, but we did get a little bit of moisture out there. Let's take a look at what we've got going on out here in terms of watches, warnings, and advisories right now. We do have high wind warnings out for most of the area. And again, we're going to include areas basically from Goshen County, from Laramie County over into portions of the Panhandle. This is kind of the area that we expect the winds to break a little bit. We're not quite as certain in the areas here where high wind watches are still out. So some questionable whether or not that's going to happen there. So we do not have the high wind warnings out there. I certainly think the windier conditions are going to be off to the east of us, and we're going to continue to see those areas experience some of those high winds again off to our east. And if you zoom out a ways, you'll see those high wind warnings cover a large portion of the region. These are, in this area, these are tornado watches out and red flag warnings, all kinds of activity going on, all associated with the winds And you can see where that cold front was at earlier and the dry line associated with it that's triggered all the thunderstorms off to the east of us. We're in the cooler side of the air here, mostly in the 50s, 46 in Lusk. Otherwise, everybody else in the 50s right now. And those winds have been pretty stout today out of the northwest, and they've increased throughout the day. Some of the stronger winds right now, 15, 20, 30 miles an hour, gusting at times to 40 to 45. And again, as I mentioned, those high wind warnings are out, but we're not looking anything like what we had in the area last week. We just don't expect winds to be that strong, but gusting at times to 60 miles an hour, not out of the question. Severe weather threat focused right in here in the central part of the country, south central and southeastern portions of Nebraska into Kansas. That is where we expect the most activity. As we get closer to our area, you'll see it's well to the east of us, and we don't experience any weather here going on in our area. Can't rule out a shower. Otherwise, most of the rain going to be off to the east of us. You'll notice those central and eastern portions of the panhandle might pick up some wraparound moisture around that system tonight, which would be great. We could use the moisture, and we're going to look for low temperatures overnight into the 30s. Now tomorrow, we set the stage with some of those rain showers to our east. That system pulls away. The winds also come down as well as that system backs away from us with clearing skies and lighter winds as we go into tomorrow night. But the winds are still going to remain up there and be a nuisance level wind through the day Sunday as well. And as we look across the area, we'll see temps tomorrow only 50s to near 60. So still a chilly day tomorrow. And as far as precip goes now, this is what's coming this evening with that rain before it pushes on out to the east. 1/4 to 1/2 an inch possible in many locations in the central and eastern portions of the panhandle, and maybe over an inch around Valentine. But we have more coming. Here's a couple of different forecast models over the next 4 days. This is the European model. All this area shaded in blue is over another inch of rain, and you can see a big portion of that area. And then the GFS model pushes that same central area maybe a little bit further to the north. But again, those areas going to experience a decent amount of rain, and hopefully we're able to get in on that. We're pretty confident on some rain chances for early next week. Cloudy, windy tonight, lows down around 40. As we look into the forecast for tomorrow, windy again, 61 your high, winds 25, 35, gusts over 50. Then the rain comes in late in the day on Sunday. We continue the rain into Monday, then a break late Monday into Tuesday, and then another rain system comes in Tuesday into Wednesday and brings us another chance of some rain here in the area. So decent shots of getting some moisture here over the course of the next 7 days.
Logos in Gearing is the place to get all of your school spirit gear, personalized gifts, and promotional items for your business and employees, and banners for any special event. Logos is also the only place to stop for custom screen printing or embroidery. You can even design it yourself on their interactive website. Stop into Logos today. They'll design it, print it, and have it to you in no time. There's no job too big or small for Logos. That's Logos in Gearing.
I really like how our OB department takes our limited amount of doctors and turns it into a strength. Even though we only have a couple of people, you get to know them well over your entire pregnancy. We have 2 state-of-the-art labor rooms that are new with our last addition. We have a couple of very nice postpartum rooms also right here in the hospital, so they can get as much time with mom and baby as possible.
This is KNEB.TV Ag News from the FNBO Ag Desk. FNBO, the great big small bank.
Well, welcome to this week's Cattle Call. I'm Susan Littlefield. Another interesting week to the markets. We're going to talk cash cattle, and as Brad says, cash cattle and cash cattle, because we're seeing an influence on those prices. We're also going to look specifically at the spread that's happening between Iowa and Texas. We've seen the corn prices back down a little bit. Good news when we're looking at those feed costs. But we do know that dry weather continues to be a huge concern for our cattle producers out there. And we'll look at the spreads between the choice and the select. And most importantly, it's grilling season. So get them grills dusted off because Lord knows the wind has put enough dust on them and start grilling some burgers and steaks. And Brad, let's start out talking about this cash cattle market and what you're seeing for the trade this week.
Well, thank you. And thanks for having me on again, of course, Susan. There's times when you and I enjoy being on the show because you allow me to let what little bit of hair I have left, leave it down a little bit. There's times when we've talked about the what seems to be a frustration or to me a misdirection where our market doesn't seem like it really cares about what the fundamentals are that at least I cut my teeth on, when numbers get tight or when the weights are bad or when they're good or, it pretty much seems to be dictated by whatever the latest fund attention is, and whether the funds like your market or they don't. And the cattle seem to have just kind of disappeared off of everyone's radar. And then people are instead, focused on corn, crude oil, all the inflationary stuff here that went on, the stuff that, of course, didn't go on because of the worry about the uncertainty, like the Ukraine deal, the worry about inflation, worry about a recession. Anyway, so long, dumb answer maybe to what I'm getting at here is it feels good to finally have the fundamentals win a round or two here on the cattle. The fundamentals, you and I have talked about it consistently, that the supply of cattle is pulled forward in the north. Now, we didn't have a big supply of cattle coming in April and May. And I feel just a little bit of indication that finally the north, because of tight supply, has drugged the market higher finally. Cash has. Best way to rally is to have the cash market pull you higher. I know there's people worried about the premium in the back. We can talk about that another time, but there's premium in the back for good reason because there's less cattle back there. The fact though that we finally saw some life in the cash is I think I was happy to see it finally. And your question about the north and the south, thank you for that softball.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you don't suppose that it makes a difference that if you negotiate for your cattle, you maybe get more for them than you turn them in and give them away? Maybe, I don't know. It's quite a concept. It doesn't always, there are others that wouldn't agree, but I mean, to me, it's just, obviously we got less cattle, but the whole way of doing business here in the north is to me, that competitive nature is going to lead to better price discovery.
Well, you talk about that spread. I mean, comparing Iowa to Texas, what are you seeing? And is this going to be something that's going to continue coming up?
$6 or $7 over. $6 or $7 over. I mean, I got 146 this weekend at their fed cattle auction the other day. They had a high of 139.80 or something like that. Some of it's because of grade, quality, but we feed higher quality cattle year round up here. But particularly right now, you think about it. So we've got $8 corn going in the bunk. They might have $8.75 or $9 corn going in the bunk. I'll believe you me, they're just turning cattle and they want to stop the feed bill. And so as you got less days on feed, you have less grade. And so, would a long fed steer up here that's going to grade 95% choice compared to something that might be 65 on a good day down there, it's certainly worth more. Now, $6 or $7 is probably quite a little, but I think that's certainly part of it. The packers searching for grade. We've got it more of it up here than they do down there, so that's contributing to it as well as the tighter supply here than they have in the north.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Looking at the way these grain prices are, you can't even look at an alternative feed source at this point because everything is astronomically high.
You got that right, and everything. I mean, there's round bales of corn stalks here bringing $70. Hay, tight supply, obviously the distiller byproduct, all this stuff. It's going to be interesting to see what we do to try to, the function of the market is to go to a price high enough that we either use less of it or produce more of it, right? Well, we can't produce more corn right now, but the only thing we can do then is to use less of it. To me, the grind here on the ethanol, given what that looks like with the setback in the crude oil, that's probably your first stop to watch there. we'll try to feed to less weight. That's our best chance. I'm sure we'll do some substituting with things that we can try, but there's a limitation to do that and still have the kind of quality steer that we want to offer. But to me, the deal today was, we were talking here the other day, looking at the oats market. And I know people don't raise oats, and I know I'm an old timer that oats knows and those dumb little things, like commodity brokers say. Right? But May oats is 98 cents off of its high. 98 cents. I wonder what we'd be talking about today if corn was $1 off of its high. I think I caution everyone that people go like, well, this corn, it's never going down. Yeah, right. The market, when you get this high and this overbought and have this kind of run, there's one of the months of the corn that had 23 consecutive up days, December of 23 in a row. That's just not natural. So the correction today on the corn certainly helped our feeder cattle market, and that certainly spilled over in some of the back end of the market. So yeah, there's worth mentioning that correction on the corn. I thought that the feeder cattle reminds me of when they have a flag in a NASCAR race and they're waiting for them to drop the green flag again, right? Mm-hmm. That's how the feeder cattle look. That if the corn would leave them alone, this feeder cattle thing is ready to rock and roll. Up almost $3 today. That was a fun day.
Dry weather concerns. Last week, you and I talked about increased heifer slaughter numbers. Are they still that way this week? Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yes, unfortunately. Now, we're all watching. I'm watching anyway. This weather through the cow-calf region, and I'm sure they'd way rather have 2 inches of rain or 5 inches of rain, but looks like they're going to get another round of snow. And I'm hearing some calf loss issues. But to your point, if we get enough moisture there that they get their ponds full again and get some grass going again, I think this is something that we probably should be talking about weekly. We get ahead another month or two, and it looks like they're off to a start. The first thing you'll see is the cow kill stop. Cows are worth a lot of money. And some classes of cows this week were up $20. So that should be telling us something, right? The heifer slaughter, I'm afraid, is with us to stay through the summer. Those heifer calves went on feed last fall, and that's why I think August cattle, 141 and a half is a big price for August cattle. It's only been higher than that one time in August, 2014. That if I had to pick a month to give an enema to the market, it would be August cattle. So that's my little hedge tirade. So don't forget this window here when you're expecting to make a seasonal high. We're in that window. We're in that time frame on fat cattle. As we move into May, there will be more calves, but there's also always great demand in May, like you hinted at, with grilling season, Mother's Day, and all the rest.
All right. Well, thanks. Safe trip next week. We'll try to catch up with you next week, and we'll play it by ear. How's that sound?
Sounds good. A week from today, I will be in Washington, D.C., trying to tell the story of the small cattlemen. So,
all right. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll get you guys a link if you'd like it. That's this week's Cattle Call. And as always, remind folks, commodity futures and options involve a substantial risk of loss, not suitable to all investors. That's the Cattle Call here on the Rural Radio Network.
Community Calendar is brought to you by Riverstone Bank. First State Bank is now Riverstone Bank. Community strong with the same people you know and trust.
Find out what convenient really means at the Western Travel Terminal. Start with our great selection of food and drinks, from for real milkshakes and fresh brewed coffee to snacks and hot food. Next, check out our beer and spirits with their everyday low prices. Finally, let us work for you with our full-service gas station and automatic truck and car wash. All this can be found at 822 South Beltline in Scottsbluff. Western Travel Terminal, your convenient shopping, restaurant, and full-service gas leader.
At Platte Valley Bank, we want to help you take advantage of every adventure. We know you have plans, goals, and dreams. Let us help you with them. Whether you are just starting the business you have always imagined or looking to grow your existing one, we have a business loan to fit your needs. Stop in and see us at Platte Valley Bank and let us help make your dreams a reality. You belong here. Platte Valley Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
And finally tonight, the United Way of Western Nebraska and Riverstone Bank kicked off their partnership in hosting the 5th annual United Way Color Dash Thursday morning. The Color Dash, a colorful 5K for runners of all levels, will be taking place in Gering on June 4th. An anticipated 1,000 runners will finish the race after being completely transformed by vibrant color. Registration is now open, and United Way Special Events Coordinator Jill Allen tells KNB News what all you get when you sign up.
If you register, you have a choice of, you can have a t-shirt or a tank top, and along with that there'll be a race bag, sunglasses, bandana, and paint. And paint is available to purchase for families if they want to throw that at their running or walking families.
Registration is now open at the United Way's website. However, only 1,000 entrants will be accepted. Well, that does it for us this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there. We'll see you back here on Monday.